Are you ready to create a life you crave? Let's spin that doom loop of negativity into an upward success cycle and start living lucky. Good morning. I'm Jana.
I'm Jason.
And we are living lucky.
Happy Thursday, my favorite day.
Every day that ends in Y is Jason's favorite
Boy,
day.
do I have enthusiasm.
He's turning into his papa, which
I'll take it.
I will too. Did you know that I fell in love with you when I met your papa?
You did? Mm-hmm. He's a good man.
That was the day I fell in love with you. Papa brought out his pecan pie, and I was like,
that's some good pecan pie.
yeah.
Good stories around that pecan pie.
Today we're talking about stories.
What's your story?
Say hello,
morning,
Patrick, Sheila. Good morning. Good morning. Today we are talking about regrets versus stories. And it's really a choice. Do you think it's mutually exclusive? Like, can you either have regrets or stories, or can you have a little bit of both?
Well, I think there's a decision in that. Like, are you going to decide to regret what you didn't do?
Yeah.
Or are you going to really focus on your story? Because just like with your accident, you could focus on what you lost or what you didn't have, or you can focus on the joy and the excitement that you did. So the key is that just knowing that we don't have a unlimited amount of time on this planet, and to create our stories, to do something exciting, to do something memorable. And this is kind of sparked with one of the questions that we didn't actually share yesterday.
Yeah.
But one of the questions you brought up to me afterwards was, what have you done that's been memorable?
Oh, yeah. I read that
remembering.
yesterday. And have you done anything lately that is really memorable? That is really...
worth remembering.
Yes. And you start thinking about it and we get all caught up in our everyday things. Oh, I gotta do laundry. I gotta sweep the floor. I gotta wash the counters.
And how many times have we been talking to people, or how many times have I even said, I don't even remember what I did yesterday?
What did you do yesterday?
Well, I know all the things that I worked on, but it's so often we get caught up in this trap of just doing the things that we do every day and in the patterns of life. So and we talk all the time about getting outside of our comfort zone and growing. Mm-hmm. But when we say, have you done something what have you done lately that's worth remembering? It makes you go, huh.
Yeah. Good morning, Julian. Good morning, Marilyn. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, that was one question that really struck me yesterday. The other question was, what are you going to do today? And if it was your last day on Earth, would it still be the same thing? That's kind of an aha moment. I know we don't like to talk about those macabre things, but we are all going to die at some point, right?
At some point. Hopefully it's not today. I mean, obviously.
But if today was your last day, would you treat it differently?
I would go skydiving and Rocky Mountain climbing. I'd ride
you really
bull
would?
for
Are you just being silly?
Two-man chew.
Are you just being silly?
I'm singing Tim McGraw song.
I know exactly what you're doing. We all know what he's doing, right? But what would you do?
If I knew...
If you knew today was your last day on this planet.
I would spend all day in bed with you, and I would be making phone calls to people saying that I love you, and if you need me for anything, I'm in bed with my wife.
So why don't we do that today? Why don't we just all play hooky and go to bed with our loved ones, whether it's our spouses or our dogs or our books, whatever we love. Let's just go to bed and let's call everyone and say, I love you. What are we waiting for? I guess that's the real question is, why do we wait until it's our last day on Earth?
Or Saturn.
What do you guys think?
Why do we wait until our birthday
You're being
for that?
silent. What do we have here? Sheila says, I'd spend my last day with my girls. Yeah, most people choose their children, I think. Most people choose our children. For you and I...
You would choose Tater.
I would choose you. I would totally choose you. Marilyn says, I'm going to be watching the hearings on television today. It's the last hearing before the committee will present the report about what happened on January 6th. So that That'll be an interesting day.
11
If it was
days
your
before my
last
birthday.
day on Earth, would you still be doing the same thing? So that's really the
Is
question.
that something you have to know before you go?
Did you just make up that little rhyme? Because
It worked.
You're on fire. Jason's on fire, and so is my water. We've been drinking hot water, and it's really, really hot.
Did you say really, really hot?
We watch Curb Your Enthusiasm at night because we don't really have any other options to watch. So we like Larry David.
And you should be laughing.
Because
In the day laughing.
he makes me laugh, especially. I think he's hilarious. But he had an episode last night where the coffee wasn't hot, and so he would put his nose in it. And if it burnt his nose, then he knew his
You
coffee
know it's
was
not hot enough if your nose doesn't get burned.
Yes, and so then he would go to other people's coffee and he would stick his nose in other people's coffee. And for some reason that cracked me up.
That's funny.
Because if somebody put their nose in my coffee, I may just have to I definitely wouldn't drink it.
Well,
who knows?
There's a whole array of reactions that could happen in that scenario, and you don't know until it happens because it's a little bit ridiculous.
Yes, that is true. We look a little dark today. Have you noticed?
Sheila says it's a rainy day. It's overcast. It's cloudy. I noticed the sun's struggling to get up this morning.
Yes.
Not me. Not Jana. Jana's been up since about 2 o'clock this morning.
I have. I got up very, very early. I had so
She's a
much
go-getter.
energy.
She's like Mark Wahlberg. I'm a doer.
I had so much energy. And when you wake up at that time, I had a choice. Just like in regrets or stories, I had a choice as to whether or not I could force myself to lay there with my eyes closed, or I could use that time to clean the house.
Plug into the energy.
Which is what I did. Andrea's joining us. Andrea says, I love rainy days. So do I. I love rainy days. I secretly love hurricanes too. Because you get to hunker down and be in bed with your spouse, just like you said.
And get protected. I'll cover you.
Too much. Tell them to back it up.
So when you asked me the other day, to get back to the story.
Let's get back to
when
the
you said, have
topic.
you done something lately that's worth remembering?
Yes.
The first thing that popped in my... So a whole slew of things came through.
And what popped
But
up?
the first thing that popped in my mind was our trip to Mexico. And I was so thankful that we literally had just gotten back from that. That popped into our lives pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. We acted on it very quickly. And it was a very short blip. But
And it about didn't happen. What's so crazy about that is we really had to rearrange things. I did a keynote that morning. Then we went straight to the airport. Our dog sitter, who was scheduled to come here, all of a sudden she had to go into the hospital. So the trip almost got canceled several times. It would have been easy for us to give up on that.
But we spun positive through the whole thing.
We said, you know what? We're meant to do this. God wants us to do this. We're going to get on that plane and we're going. And like you said, that was the first thing that came to my mind yesterday when I heard that question. Have you done anything lately that's worth remembering? I was like, I'm so glad we took that trip to Mexico. And that's a signal. It's an indicator that our souls need to do more of that. We need to do more of giving, serving, and making a life impact. I really believe that. That's all we have today. Marilyn says, I like to have rainy days because it kind of takes the guilt off, right? We don't have to do anything.
Right.
We can just lay there and feel.
watch John Wayne movies.
It's like give ourselves permission, which we shouldn't need a rainy day to give ourselves permission to just take time for ourselves. So maybe that's the lesson here today. We're a little bit all over the place. Jeff Frent just joined us. Good morning, Jeff. Good to see you. We are talking about regrets. That's what the tattoo says. I don't know if you've ever seen that commercial where he has
that's the movie, We Are the Millers.
We Are the Millers, and he gets a tattoo and it says, no regrets. Oh, dear. And Andrea says, John Wayne movies are awesome.
John Wayne movies, Clint Eastwood movies.
Jason thinks he lives in the Wild West.
I should have been born in the Wild West. But I'm glad things worked out the way they did.
Maybe it's time for another trip to Kansas. Did you know that this week was also National Farmers Day?
Of course.
I mean, there's been a lot
People
of
have been
national
emailing
days.
me and calling me Happy National Farmers Day.
Yeah, because when we all think of a farmer, we think of Jason. I mean, yes, you are.
If the boots fit. Saying, that's one of my stories.
All right, guys, we're just having a little fun today. Is there anything you want to tell us? Any good news happening in your life? We would love
Give us a win.
to hear your story.
Tell us one of your wins.
Or tell us where you're going to choose stories instead of regrets. We don't want to get to the end of our life and say, I wish I would have, I could have been a contender. You know, we don't want that. Julyn says, Thanksgiving trip to Kansas.
Thanksgiving trip to Tallahassee.
Oh, we're going to be in
Maybe
Tallahassee
a Christmas trip
for
to
Thanksgiving.
Kansas.
Yes, but I would really love to see Julyn and Jennifer and her sister Marcy.
We could flip-flop them.
Flip-flop Julyn and Jennifer?
No, Kansas and Tallahassee. I mean, if they're down for it, we'll have to talk to them. We'll
Diane's here. Diane, good to see you. Today we're talking about choosing stories over regrets. And Jason and I have both said we don't want to get to the end of our life and have those feelings like, why didn't I?
We're gonna try to pack some stories in. We're gonna try to get some more stories in there and tell your story. Get your story out there, because that's kind of how we get passed down and memories are made.
And that's how we share our experiences, and other people can learn.
Amen to that.
Other people can learn from our transparency, our vulnerability, and our past pain and suffering. That can all be
and our past
used.
successes.
Our mess becomes our message. All right, guys. Good morning, Marcy. So good to see you. We are about to sign off today, but it was great connecting, and hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow.
That's Friday.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. If the idea of living lucky appeals to you, visit us at startlivinglucky.com.